the whole trip was emotional, honestly. This whole process has been emotional. But yeah, I mean, hearing that was just the appointment alone was extremely validating. Just knowing that like I'm not crazy. Like there is a reason I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. And I mean, fast forward a little bit, even going into surgery, when I was sitting in the kind of waiting room pre-op room,
Yeah.
in the gown, in the scrub hat, I started crying because I was finally like fixing this. Like I got really emotional even before going into the room. And then after, then after the surgery, when I was in the resting room, post-op room, I started taking a video on my phone, just talking about this process. I started crying again.
Yeah.
Cause just like, yeah, I mean, this has been something going on for close to a year now. And I've been living as a lesser version, a reduced version of myself physically, which, has such an emotional and mental impact on me. I do want to say I was driving over here to do this podcast and I was getting a little giddy. I was getting excited to get back in the booth with you. I think this is our third pod, just me and you now, just
Right.
you and I, for mom, the grammar police.
Yeah. Believe me, if you said it wrong, she'll correct you.
She's probably so excited listening to this right now that I corrected myself. That is so unlike me. Wow. So
You become your parents, this is a sign.
yeah, I'll take it. So it's our third time potting, just you and I. And I was getting excited. I was thinking about, some of the topics that we could talk about. I was listening to the JJ Reddick podcast, which I'm a big fan of, and just kind of listening to them, explore topics, got me excited to talk about things with you. And, I just wanted to let you know that coming over here, I was getting a little excited.
Wow. I'm not sure I've ever seen you giddy up, as Kramer would say, but I'm excited too because I listened to the podcast that we released last week while we were in Hawaii. It was just relatively short when I released it, and I thought, or I listened to it, and I thought, boy, that was fun, and it was really. I thought it came out really good, and a little confirmation bias. Your mom said it was really good.
That's good.
She really liked it. She said you guys were.
She's a tough critic, though. She's a tough critic.
No, I know.
So that's good. That's good.
Exactly. She does not throw compliments around with respect to our podcast. They're too long.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's because it was 1/3 of the length of all the other ones but hey, we got the nod. So
Yep.
Let's roll with it.
Okay. Absolutely. Speaking of Hawaii, I just returned last night.
Speaking of Hawaii, yes, you did. Cue the reason behind the tan.
Yeah.
How was it? Let me be the first to say that you deserve it. You are one of the hardest working people I know. You've got to be up there, top 5 in my book.
Yeah.
And so
I'm a grinder.
You are a grinder, so you deserve it. And I hope it was everything you wished for and more.
I was going to say, I had a really busy work December and a really busy work January, which I kind of like because before I go on vacation, particularly a vacation, not a trip, there's a difference between a trip and a vacation.
Agreed.
A vacation is more relaxing. Hawaii to me is a vacation as opposed to a trip. Europe might be a trip, but I like to work really hard before a vacation. So I feel like, hey, I've earned this vacation or I need this vacation. I like that. It's a little kind of, what's that word? A little maniacal, but I was really looking forward to going to Hawaii. And we went to 2 islands. We went to the Big Island, known as Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Hawaii, known as the Big Island. And then we went with 2 other couples, Michael and Allie Ranahan and Nick and Cam Weckworth, good friends from down the street. And then
shout out Harwood.
Yep, Harwood. And then Mom and I went to Kauai for 5 days alone. And it was a wild trip. Can I tell you a little bit about it?
I would love that.
Okay,
please.
It was wild in the sense that we experienced a lot of different things that were very, very cool. On the Big Island, Hawaii, the volcano was erupting. One of the volcanoes. They've got 4 volcanoes on the Big Island. One of the 4 was erupting. And so we hiked up to the rim of the crater during the day and you can see a little bit of an orange glow to it. Just
Of the erupting volcano?
yes.
Is
Yeah.
there no, is that not dangerous?
It's not dangerous because you can't get very close to the crater, but you can get to the rim where you can look down.
Does
into
it
the
not
crater.
like, you know,
It was
explode or
it
whatever?
no, it wasn't it at that phase of the eruption. It was
Okay.
so you during the daytime when we walked up there, you could see a little bit of orange fire kind of down deep into the crater. And they said come back at night and it's a whole different experience. So we went to a restaurant called the Rim Restaurant or something, and
That's weird.
I had a very good burger. By the way, very good burger.
Shout out the burger at the Rim restaurant.
Yeah, everyone else had a decent meal. I had a burger, but then after we finished our meal, we returned to the rim of the crater, and it's dark, and it's unbelievable. It's just this huge circle of orange lava. Like I've never experienced that. That was a first for me.
Wow, a first
A live lava
at your age. Love that.
It was very cool, natural experience. That
The
was one
best.
highlight. Another highlight is we went kayaking,
Mm,
and two persons in a kayak, me and mom and the rest of them.
lovely.
And as we're kayaking through this bay, dolphins are everywhere. They're to our left, they're to our right, they're in front of us, they're behind us, they're swimming next to us, underneath the kayak, jumping. I mean, we're missed, 50, 100 dolphin.
Wow.
For half an hour. They're just kind of playing around near our kayaks. Very cool.
Wow.
And then lastly on the Big Island, it's whale migration season. And even though we weren't close to the whales, we're at the beach and you can see the whales going by and occasionally they'll breach and you can see their body go up and their tail.
Love a breach.
Oh, love the breach.
Love the breach.
So those were three big highlights. Low light was while I was whale watching with Michael Branahan, he says, hey, let's go out a little further on the lava rock so we can get a little closer to the whales. And he goes out and I follow him and I slipped on a wet spot and tore up my legs.
For our YouTube audience, you probably can't see, thank
see.
goodness. And our audio audience, you can't see. My dad's got some scrapes and scratches and bruises on his shins and knee. He is, I will say, he is a mighty man, but sometimes he is made of paper mache.
I would not be a good boxer because
If
I'm
there's
a bleeder.
anything to just catch something on and just start bleeding, it is this guy.
I'm a total
but
bleeder.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Aside from the low light, sounds like an incredible trip.
It was really incredible.
And I'm really glad. That sounds awesome. You left out, you did get one of maybe your top, maybe say top 20 photos I've ever seen you take.
I was going to segue to
I put it to 20 because I know you take a lot of great photos. So I didn't want to,
top. It's a top 20.
It's a top photo.
Maybe you could post that somehow.
Yeah, we could post it. We could, like, if we're on YouTube right now, like we could put a graphic up, like boom, of the photo, like right there.
Okay. Well, then we went to Kauai, your mom and I, and the first night we got there, we were in this hellacious, and I mean hellacious, lightning and thunderstorm. It was pouring rain, like buckets. It was raining as hard as I've ever experienced rain, maybe harder. But more importantly, the lightning was so close to us that the thunderclaps were right after the lightning bolt, and the thunder was unbelievably loud. It knocked us out of bed.
Wow.
We thought it was right outside our porch.
Mm.
I've never experienced anything like that. It was actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
And the next morning after the rain subsided, your mom and I felt like we had survived a natural disaster. I mean, it went on for hours, this thunder and lightning and pouring rain, where to the point where, wow, we survived. Not that we were in danger, but it was really cool. If you can ever, we don't get thunder and lightning here in Northern California.
Yeah, we don't
get the good stuff. I got a little bit of that in Florida, but never experienced anything like that. It was really fun.
Yeah, no, the photo was incredible, and I'm glad that it was fun and it didn't get dangerous because it sounded crazy when I was on the phone with you. So
no, it was. I actually enjoyed being in the middle of a crazy storm.
Yeah. Well, you were in that climate.
Yes.
Storm and tropical. I was in a different climate. I was in New York for the last 8 or 9 days for a lot of reasons, but the main reason was to go and get a surgery done that I desperately needed. And I'm on the mend. I'm not moving the quickest right now. It was humbling. I had to ask my dad for help in bringing stuff out from the car and originally in getting out of the car because I was afraid I was not going to make it out of the car on the hill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a procedure done on the 3rd and I'm in recovery mode. And it's a different recovery mode because, you know, we can kind of go into the injury history here and kind of how we got to this point and where I'm going now. But over a lot of the last, I want to say 6 months or so, I had plateaued in terms of my recovery. So those first couple of months, I was very anxiously and vigorously going after my rehab because I wanted to get back on the field, wanted to get back on the field. And so I was doing everything they told me and more, and I just wasn't getting better. We tried everything. We've talked about this a little bit in previous pods. I tried physical therapy. I tried steroid injections. I tried prescription anti-inflammatories, tried it all. So yeah, I mean, the 3 months after the season ended, I had still yet to kick a ball or run or do anything that I would usually do with my healthy body. I was going to physical therapy, but I knew that something was wrong. Like I know the inside of my body and something's just not healing. It's just not getting better. And so one of the most challenging parts of this last year was, I would go to physical therapy knowing that whatever I do today is not gonna, like, I knew that I wasn't getting better. I knew that something inside of me was broken and needed intervention. And through because I mean, it had been months and months and months of doing the same thing, and I just wasn't getting better. It would have been different if I saw improvement and we were changing things, but we were doing the same thing and I wasn't getting better. And so, a little bit of context to the story is once I got injured, I got kind of put into the system of workers' comp, which is people who get hurt on the job, which is what happened in my case.
Oh, can you, before you go into that, what was your injury? I mean, how'd you get injured? What happened?
It was I strained my adductor.
How?
Kicking a ball, trying to ping a long ball with my left leg on an already struggling adductor.
So you're at practice.
No, it was in a preseason game. It was in the last preseason game.
Last preseason game, you do something you've done 100,000 times.
Yeah, and I felt a little something, which I've also felt before. I've strained my hip flexor. I've strained my quad. I know what a muscle strain is. I strained my adductor. And so in normal situations, you rehab for a few weeks, 3 weeks, you do return to play protocol, you're back on the field and back to your normal level in no time. But I did my rehab, did a return to play protocol. During that, I'm feeling a little bit of soreness still, but that's normal. A lot of times you'll feel some soreness that will go away over time.
Did you have any sense that this injury was different, worse than the other stuff that you've experienced just normally as a player, the pings and pongs of, just playing?
No, it felt pretty standard until I started getting pain in my pubic area. That was something that was new. So I hurt my adductor, did my rehab, started playing again, still felt the adductor pain, and then it moved. Then I felt adductor pain and pain in my pubic. And so I was like, this is new. And so I thought that, maybe it was just a variation of the injury. I needed a little bit more time. And so, like I said, I tried to push through it. And then it got to a point where it's like, oh my God, like I can't hit a ball without like keeling over in pain. I can't even sprint. So like, how can I even try to compete?
Right.
You
can't.
And
this is what, March or April?
Well, the first injury was in March. Yeah. But then I played for a few months and then stepped out fully closer to the summertime and was out for like 3-4 months before. And that's when I tried complete rest. That's when I tried physical therapy. That's when I tried the steroid injections. It ultimately got to a point. And during that time, I was really pushing to get imaging done, really trying to see specialists. But, as I mentioned, I was kind of within this workers' comp system. And so this injury was not normal. In my imaging, it showed that I had an adductor injury and it showed that I had inflammation in my pubic area, edema. And so really what they were saying is, you just got to hope that that edema goes away. There's not much you can do to make inflammation go away.
Right.
Literally, I got 2 MRIs 3 months apart, and they showed almost identically. I had the same injury in my adductor, and or that got a little better, but then I had the same edema and inflammation in my pubic. And so it got to a point where it's like, hey, we don't know if this is going to be better in 6 months, 9 months, a year. We don't know. And at that point, I'm saying, hey, is there anything to operate on? And they're saying, no, there's nothing to operate on, because I was trying to get back on the field as quick as possible. But also we had to keep in mind, if I got an operation, that could be 4 months, that could be
Sure.
5 months, and the season would have been over by then. So I was trying to find this fine balance of, hey, I know something is wrong and I need to get it fixed. Is there anything we can do that? And at the time they were saying no. Also keeping in mind, hey, I need to play this year to give myself an opportunity to continue my career. And so it got to that point where there was a couple months left in the season, and I was told, hey, it's structurally in your imaging, structurally you look okay. You know, it's just a matter of pain tolerance at this point. And so to me, it's like, oh, okay, if it's a matter of pain tolerance, like, let's go. Like I'm playing for my career here.
Right.
So that's when I got prescribed a new anti-inflammatory that I could take over a longer time period. Was taking those, but like that made the pain just enough so I could play. But like I was sitting down in the locker room to put my shorts on because I couldn't balance on one leg because it hurt too bad. Like literally my first pass of the day when I'm walking out just to do rondos, I'm like, like I said, wincing. We're going through warm up, and I'm like telling Charlie, I'm telling Emma, like, yeah, this is going to be a tough day, just because like it's hard to move. So yeah, that was, challenging. And then I don't know if I mentioned this on the previous pod, but kind of the realist part of this was when a week after the season ended, I had been completely off of the anti-inflammatories for a week, because anti-inflammatories are not healthy for you to be taking for a little bit, let alone 3 months.
Right.
And so the second that the season was over, I was like, okay, let me get off these anti-inflammatories. And, literally, I think it was like a week after, middle of the night, I kind of wake up and have some throbbing in my adductor. It kind of felt like it was like an infection. Like if you ever have an infection in your toe or something, footballers, when your toe is throbbing.
Yep.
But I felt that in my adductor, which is like a weird place to have throbbing. And then throughout that next day, it just continued to get worse and worse and worse, to a point where the pain level is like an 8 out of 10, which, if you know the scale, that's high. I'm usually never over a 2 or a 3. And this was an 8 out of 10. I couldn't get off the couch. I ordered food, and when I went down to get them from the stairs, I was like seriously concerned I wouldn't be able to go back up the stairs. It was
No, I remember
we
got a text.
I was really concerned.
We got a text from you that night saying, I can't go down the stairs, or I can't get up the stairs. I'm in such pain.
Yeah.
We thought maybe you had a really bad infection, or some, something that was dramatically wrong with you. Kind of unrelated to your injuries.
Yeah.
That something had taken a real turn for the worse, because we had never heard you complain of that level of pain and disability.
Yeah. No, it never had gotten to that point, but no, that was scary. I mean, I went to urgent care the next day. I was very close to going to the emergency room, just because I had never felt an experience like that. And it was after a week of doing nothing. Like the day before, I did nothing to aggravate it. It was like, it came out of left field. And that was kind of just like okay, like this is really not getting better, and it's actually potentially really like scary and dangerous. Like I need to figure this out. And so, through this, process, I was pushing to see specialists or people who might know what's going on, because like I said, I wasn't getting better. So I was like, I need to see someone who maybe knows what's going on here.
Right. Because if your injury happened April or so, March, April, and it's now January.
Yeah.
That's 8-9 months.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think I forget the timing of this, but at some point after the season ended, I was able to see a hip specialist, which it took months and months for me to see a hip specialist, but I knew that this wasn't a hip issue. This was a groin and pubic area issue. I knew my hips were fine, but like, because I was in this system, it's like, go see the hip specialist. Right. It's the only person who's available. And mind you, that took like months. And let me jump in right now and say that, like, I have a great relationship with the physical therapists, athletic trainers, doctors that I work with. Like, I have a ton of respect for them. They work their asses off trying to get me healthy. And this was just this was a weird injury.
Right.
And I really like my frustration is more so with workers' comp. Like workers' comp is like, I mean, we'll get into some more of the details of this, but like that is where a lot of my frustration lies. So if it sounds like, I just want to clear the air, like I still text my doctors and trainers, and I was telling them about the surgery and talking to them after it, and we have a good relationship. Like I'm very, very, very appreciative and thankful for working with them. And like I said, this was just a really weird injury that wasn't getting better. And I was in this system of workers' comp, which is broken. And so they send me to a hip specialist. I know that I don't need to see a hip specialist. And so go see the hip specialist. Everything checks out. They're like, okay, you need to see a sports hernia specialist. And so I'm like, okay, well, when's that going to be? I really have no idea when that's going to be. It took me 3 months to see a hip specialist when this has been an injury that happened months ago that I haven't gotten better from.
Right.
And so at that point, I started to explore other options outside of this network because I was not having success. And I spoke to, other teammates and friends who played soccer, and surprisingly, actually multiple people had similar symptoms. But I connected with one of my good friends, Stefano, shout out Stefano, who played for the New York Red Bulls, played for Sac Republic. And I mentioned the injury, like what I was dealing with. He's like, no way, I had those same exact symptoms.
Yeah.
And it's very like, there's specific symptoms. It's like when you're having pain on the pubic bone and in your adductor, like these are not the most common areas. And so when he was describing what he felt, I was like, dude, that's exactly what I felt. And I'm like, well, what'd you do for it? And he said, I got surgery done. And I'm like, that's crazy. I've been told for the last, 8 months that there's nothing to operate on. He's like, no, you need to talk to this guy. He's the best. And
this guy being a doctor in New York.
Yeah. I spoke to him and he said, I need to come look at you in person. But in talking about your injury history, in looking at your imaging and talking to you now, it sounds like you probably need some intervention.
Have you seen the MRI?
Yeah, he was looking at the MRI when I was on the Zoom with him. And so I said, like, when can I come out? Because in my mind, every day that I'm not treating this injury is another day I'm living as a shell of myself.
Right.
And not to say that I can't be my whole self without me being 100% healthy. But, like I said, I haven't been able to kick a ball or run since the last game of the season. That's close to 4 months now. It's what is it? Yeah. 3.5, 4 months now. Like,
that's crazy.
I'm an extremely active person. Like,
right.
I love going on runs. I love playing soccer. And part of this exciting part of this next chapter is the ability to do a lot of active things and, use my body. And so every day that I'm not actively getting better is another day I'm living, a lesser version of my life. And so
it must have been to the extent that you've been through a lot of frustration with this injury, because you're being told, well, there's not much that can be done. We don't really know what it is. There's some uncertainty, a lot of uncertainty, I guess, as to what the injury exactly is and what the proper treatment is. It must have been kind of affirming or gratifying to talk to a doc who says to you, I think I know what's going on. And I think I know exactly what your injury is. And I think I know how to treat it.
Yeah.
After it's sort of like the clouds lifting after 8 or 9 months.
Yeah. I mean, it's honestly hard to put into words how validating it felt, because I mean, at times I was kind of made to feel crazy. I was told that, it could be my pain receptors in my brain, knowing something is wrong, and something was wrong.
You were in a tough situation because you've got that combination of a very unusual injury to a professional athlete who needs their body to be, if not 100%, darn close to it to perform optimally. And number 3, you're in the workers' comp system, which doesn't handle exotic, unusual injuries to professional athletes very well. I mean, workers' comp system is great for kind of routine, ordinary care, your neck, your back injuries, that type of stuff, your rotator cuff. But when you have kind of an exotic, unusual injury to an athlete, workers' comp system is not going to serve you well. I know that from what I do.
I do want to make this clear that with an injury like this, you want to explore all non-surgical options before having surgery. You never want surgery to be the second thing you do.
That's
and
right.
so, maybe at that point there wasn't something to operate on, but I'm more so frustrated with the timeline of how long it took to get to the next step, to get to the next step, to get the next step. But it's because, like I said, I was in this system where it may be months before you see the next person. And so, yeah, he mentioned that he had this surgery, and I reached out to the doctor out of this network. I reached out to the doctor, scheduled a Zoom call where he went over my MRIs, talked through the injury history. Even that Zoom was really affirming, just to hear that, hey, this makes sense. There's a reason why you're feeling that way. It adds up looking at your imaging and hearing the history. But to really know if you need a procedure and to really know what's going on, I need to see you in person. At that point, this was early January, maybe, that this happened.
Yep.
And so at that point, I didn't know when I would see that sports hernia specialist. It took me 3 months since I was put in the request to see the hip specialist, and so I had no idea. And so, like I said, every day that I wasn't getting treatment or I wasn't doing some intervention to get better, I knew that I wasn't getting better on my own, and I was just living as a lesser version of myself, which is difficult. Like, I haven't like, these are things I love doing. These are part of who I am that I just had to completely shut off for a long time now.
Can't imagine being a 28-year-old and not being able to go out for a run or do a workout or go play some pickup soccer.
Yeah. It's been challenging.
So you're waiting to hear from the
Oh, well, no. So I spoke with I spoke with the doctor, and he said, I need to see you in person. I said, well, when can I get out there, or when can you see me? And he said 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now. And that was February 2nd. And so I said, okay, I'll come out. I looked at flights. Flights were cheap. I have family in New York. Let's do it. And so I booked the trip to go out there February 2nd, and we booked a possible surgery date for the 3rd if it was the case that I needed it. And he also wanted me to see a pelvic floor specialist a couple days before, just to get their opinion and see if there had been any damage done there from the injury, because all these muscles are intertwined. The pelvis is a very connected area, and a pelvic floor specialist is also someone who I was waiting to see through the workers' comp system, and I just never had gotten to see them. And it's quite ironic, because literally the day that I'm booking my flight, like, I'm literally hours before pressing book, I get a call that my claim has been approved to see this sports hernia specialist.
Okay.
And it's like, oh my God, this is classic. As I'm about to go out of network and spend God knows how much money to fix this, I get told that I can see the specialist the day before my flight leaves.
Right. Local
and
guy.
So I figured, let's see all my options. The best thing to do here is look at all my options. I went to the sports hernia specialist, and I don't want to like really go into detail or like throw any shade, but like, he didn't look at my MRI and was already suggesting a hernia operation that wouldn't address my adductor, would just deal with kind of my pubic. And I just didn't really get the vibe that he was, completely invested in my best interest.
Yeah.
And so that kind of validated, like, hey, now let me go check out this other opinion and see what they say. Went out to New York, saw a pelvic floor specialist, and I don't want to go too much into detail with that appointment. It was one of the most uncomfortable appointments of my life. I'll leave it at that. I got another injection into probably the worst place that you could ever get an injection. I'll just leave that at that.
I'm trying to use my imagination, and I'm
Let's
going
just
to one
say,
place.
I had to sit on ice for 10 minutes before I left the office. I'll just say that. But she could kind of tell that there was some damage in my pelvic floor from like compensation throughout this injury. And then a couple of days later, I saw I won't say names here, but I saw this other doctor, and
Can we call him Dr. Z?
Dr. Z. And yeah, he assessed my injury in person, went through the injury history again, looked at my imaging, and in speaking with the pelvic floor doc and her findings, kind of came to the conclusion that, it looks like I may need intervention, and he feels very confident in a procedure that he can do. And there would be a very high likelihood that I would be back to doing what I love to do shortly with this procedure.
You must have loved hearing that. I mean,
Yeah.
not that you need surgery, but hey, I have a plan here.
No, I mean it was extremely, yeah, I mean it meant a lot, honestly. Like just knowing that, hey, there's something that can be done.
Is it bad to ask you whether you had an emotional reaction to kind of hearing that news?
I don't think it's bad to, I think that's very fair to ask. Yeah, I mean the whole trip was emotional, honestly. This whole process has been emotional, but yeah, I mean hearing that was just, the appointment alone was extremely validating. Just knowing that like I'm not crazy. Like there's a reason I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. And I mean, fast forward a little bit, even going into surgery, when I was sitting in the kind of waiting room to pre-op room,
Yeah.
in the gown, in the scrub hat, I started crying because I was finally like fixing this. Like I got really emotional even before going into the room. And then after, then after the surgery, when I was in the resting room, post-op room, I started taking a video on my phone, just talking about this process. I started crying again.
Yeah.
Cause just like, yeah, I mean, this has been something going on for close to a year now. And I've been living as a lesser version, a reduced version of myself physically, which, has such an emotional and mental impact on me, on everyone, but me specifically being such an active person. So,
Well, not only an active person, a professional athlete who has a ticking clock in terms of their career.
yeah.
And here you are with an injury that doesn't let you do your job and prove yourself on the field.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole wrinkle to this equation that makes things that much more complicated. Is like, my career potentially ended as a result of this. Like I didn't get to prove why I deserved another year. And it's just at that point of my career where like I could play somewhere else. I could rehab this, go on trial and play somewhere else. But the reality is that wouldn't make me happier than what I'm going to be transitioning into. And trust me, I've been going to a lot of therapy. Like it's taken a long time for me to get to a point where I can be at peace with this. And even still, I get worked up sometimes. But like the fact that I didn't, it's like I didn't get an opportunity to like go out on my terms.
Right.
Like a 75% max went out there and was like, let me try and keep my career going.
Right.
Right. And so yeah, that sucks. Like that really sucks. But I'd much rather look at, hey, I got to play 6 years, living my dream, doing things I never could have imagined doing, playing against Drogba, playing for my hometown, all this stuff. I don't want to get too much into this right now, but yeah, my default will be gratitude rather than, bitterness and frustration that I didn't get to go out on my terms. And so, yeah, I mean, the fact that I had to go out of network and handle this all myself, like there's a lot of kind of, pieces to this puzzle that make it complex. But long story short, I'm on the road trip. Like this past week, I've been to the post op. I was in New York for a few days. Kind of fun. I got to do a photo shoot while I was, producing, directing, helping out with a photo shoot for our Cafe Ole collection with Fen, guest of the show.
Yes.
The great Fen shot my cousin Kenny in New York. And that was really cool to be there for. So not only did I get a surgery out of the trip, I got to, do one of our best photo shoots we've done. I think it's probably the most fire yet.
Kenny, a professional model.
Yeah, Kenny, we got one of the best models, one of the best creatives in the game. Of course, it's going to be madness. So yeah, that was fun. Got to do that. Got to go to a Knicks game.
Speaking of madness, your sister Maddie was in New York.
Yeah, that was great. Shout out Madison. She's the best big sister ever.
Super caretaker.
Looked after me after surgery. Sounds like I'm doing a lot. These were like my only outings. And the doctor encouraged, like, get out a little bit, walk a little bit, just be careful. Don't slip on ice. Don't do anything crazy. I was moving very gingerly, but got to go to a Knicks game. Got to say hi to D Rose after the game. That was cool. What else? Other than that, I was pretty cooped up in the hotel. It was freezing out.
Or your cousin.
And yeah, spent some time with my cousin. That was great. But
it was crazy cold in New York.
It was cool.
Looking at the weather from the beach in Hawaii and saying, I don't envy you. It's like 7 degrees there.
Yeah.
It's really cold.
Yeah, it was quite cold. But yeah, just like my mental headspace since the surgery has been like so great, just because like even though I can barely move around right now, like I know I'm moving forward. Like I know a week from now I'm gonna feel better than I do today.
Right.
2 weeks from now I'm gonna be better than I feel a week from now. 2 months from now I'm gonna feel even better than I feel, a month from now. And I couldn't say the same the last,
Right.
8 months.
Did Dr. Z tell you the surgery went well as planned? Didn't see anything
Yeah,
unusual in
no,
there?
he said it went really well. A little bit of the for all the future doctors out there. He said he lengthened my adductor, reattached it to my pubic, closed my inguinal floor, and dealt with a small hernia, kind of, or something protruding in my obliques. I don't want to. I might have butchered that. I don't know, but he also said like, yeah, there was an injury in there
Okay.
that needed fixing, and so that also was, you know, good to hear that there was something that needed to be fixed in there, and he fixed it.
Yeah, that'd be a bummer if he opened you up and said, "I don't see anything." Close you
That
back up. That would
yeah,
be a
that
bummer,
that would have been a bummer,
right? That's
but
actually bad news. They don't see anything.
no, I'm finally on the path forward, and I have a newfound enthusiasm and mentality towards attacking rehab now, just knowing that, like I said, I'm going to be progressing. And so yeah, I'm back on the grind, back on the rehab grind, taking it very easy for 3 weeks, but then going to be starting PT, hopefully back doing soccer activities, between 3 and 4 months, and ramping it up to living the life I want to live.
So 3 or 4 months, you're talking when the weather is starting to get, well, the weather's always nice here in California, but April, May, June, nice time to be outside and kind of getting back running and
A
stuff.
lovely time, a lovely time. Okay, so
Cool.
that was a lot of, that was a lot. Sorry, guys, that was a lot. I don't know if we meant to go that much into detail, but I mean, this is a subject I'm very passionate about, just because it hits so close to home. It's been such a huge part of my life this last year. So, you know, to finally have this surgery is really big for me.
Well, and it was a long journey to get to the surgery,
Yeah.
right? And you not only spiritually and mentally, but physically. You went cross country to get an operation,
Yeah.
but to get in the hands of a specialist who has done this operation before. I guess he does a lot of athletes.
Yeah,
Huh?
he had a guy in the Super Bowl. He had a lot of NHL jerseys on his wall. There was one I sent a picture of my dad. Well, one was a very impressive plaque, but next to in the background was a jersey signed "I owe you a beer" by an NHL player, and so that's kind of, I mean, I owe him a beer now,
Yeah,
but
I like that.
I thought
That was
yeah,
cool.
I thought
Yeah.
that was cool. But yeah, so that was, a little update of our past couple weeks. A lot went on, and by the time this is dropping, last week we talked about the table read. We talked about what it was like being on set and shooting your first, short film feature. By this time, it's out. The premiere happened. Hopefully that went great. The clothing is now globally available. The Cafe Ole short film is globally available. So we can talk about it. We can talk about, well, actually, no, let's talk about, you just saw a very close to not the final cut. There still needs to be some final coloring, a little bit of audio tweaks, very minor detail changes, but you saw what's very close to the final cut of the Cafe Ole short film. And I want to hear your reaction.
Well, I was kind of blown away at how good it is, and I don't want to overhype it because I'll let people decide for themselves. But knowing the process, knowing how it was filmed and the different angles, and then to see how they put the final product together, all that, I don't know, hours of filming into a minute and a half, and they piece it together and they add the music and show different angles. It's really good. I'm blown away at the process, frankly.
Yeah.
How the finished product is nothing like what you think it's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's crazy to have been on set and see the shots being shot. And then, even looking at the first cut and now this final cut, the first cut is a wildly different version than this final cut. So after this or sometime I'll show you the first cut so you could kind of see how much it evolved. But we made some major changes to the cuts. Shout out Tyler Markovich, who helped bring this all together. Really talented filmmaker who shot it, was our DP, edited it. He's been very patient with us. But like it's wild to look at that first cut and see how many changes we made. And I really hope that people love it as much as we do, because I really do think it's special. And if you haven't seen it already, go to YouTube, go to Instagram, check out Neighborhood Sports Club Cafe Ole video. We also have the capsule collection that's now available. I'm rocking the sweats right now. I'm moving gingerly to get up, but you see the sweats. YouTube audience.
Nice.
We got a t-shirt to go with it.
Pocket in the back.
We got a t-shirt to go with it, a crew neck, a coffee mug, and a dad hat. So we got a whole collection. This is my favorite collection yet by far in terms of design, the actual materials and colors. Yeah, it's really sweet.
High quality.
So I encourage anyone listening to this, please watch the short film. Let us know what you think. If you like the gear, please rock with it.
I'd like to have our audience know that I am available now for other film work.
Yeah, what was it like seeing yourself on camera?
It's a little odd, to tell you the truth, because you have an image of yourself, how you look, how you sound, and that doesn't always translate to what you actually see on the film. Your vision of yourself is a little different, but I kind of liked it.
Let's go. Hey, you looked like a natural. Like,
really?
No, seriously. I know you killed it. Like, watching that, all the actors killed it. Like Chet, Frederic, Yasko, Gus. Gus is the star, really.
Yeah.
Shout out. Gus did an absolutely incredible job.
How old's Gus?
Pretty sure he's 9 years old.
Yeah, Gus,
which is unbelievable. He's a phenom.
Yeah, just his facial expressions and
yeah, not even just the soccer, like
right.
The acting.
No, that guy's got a career. Gus and I think both have careers.
Yeah,
Frederic and Chet. I think
they also have careers in acting as well.
Yeah, but not feature film stuff.
Okay. But yeah, I had so much fun just throughout this process of literally from like thinking of the play on words of Cafe Ole to the script to the shot list to the scout location to the set design to the directing to the editing, like literally we got to play a role in every aspect of it, and that was like just so cool and so fun.
I was gonna say you must be kind of anxious to do another one, but with that said, I know it's a lot of work. It took months to put that together.
No, I'm already excited to do more. Definitely took a lot of work, but like I think that's just wind in the sails of like, hey, look what we're capable of doing. That was kind of our first production of this magnitude. And I have a personal project that I'm working on that's high level production, kind of relating to my soccer career, that I'm hopefully going to be doing in the next month or two. But it just gives us motivation and confidence that, hey, look what we can do. And right. I think to anyone listening, like going into this, there's a lot of imposter syndrome of like, I can't, like, maybe we need someone else to help write the script, or we need someone else to help do the storyboard. It's like, no, we did it. Yes, we got a little bit of help with the, actual filming of it and the high level production. That's just, we didn't know how to do, quite frankly. But in terms of kind of all the things of like, just, can I do this? Can I not do this? Like we did it, and we leaned in with confidence. And there was times when it was, a little bit of imposter syndrome, but I think that's natural with anyone doing anything new. And especially I hear other people kind of in this industry who don't have a wealth of experience, but end up creating beautiful things. Like they all talk about having imposter syndrome to some degree, but like this just gives us confidence of like, hey, like, look what we can do.
Right. And so how much you learned in the process of doing it.
Yeah. We did one piece, and I think it was helpful that we did almost every aspect of it. Like, we did set design, we did wardrobe, we did location scouts, we did, we got to touch so many aspects of it. It gives us that much more confidence doing anything else, that we know what it takes, all the little details that go into making something look of high production and be high production. We got to do those things.
Yeah. As the old saying goes, going into that project, you probably didn't know what you didn't know.
Yeah.
Now you know what you didn't know, and the product is really good. Can you talk a little bit about Cafe Ole? What does that mean?
Yeah. I mean, just, well, our goal with NSC is to open a facility with obviously small sided retail, but also a cafe bar. Having the cafe is a big part of the NSC concept and the vibe of being able to hang out, drink coffee, watch football, just kind of the cafe culture. And so just kind of thinking about, paying homage to the cafe aspect of our business, we're just trying to get creative and, the play on words of Cafe Ole and the word Ole and its relevance to soccer, somehow came up just in randomly thinking about kind of NSC ideas. And we also, in looking for just constant inspiration, we came across a, really old Uruguay World Cup poster that had this graphic of this character doing kind of a rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
And so we loved the character and we loved the play on words with Cafe Ole. And that character kind of became like the mascot for Cafe Ole. And then we worked with our graphic designer, Ian, who's extremely talented. Shout out, Ian. And he came up with an NSC version of the character. And so
that's on the coffee mug.
That's on the coffee mug. That's on the back of the crew neck.
Yep.
And so this character kind of, we're like, okay, well, let's think of how we can use this play on words. And for some reason just had the vision of, someone ordering a Cafe Ole or delivering a Cafe Ole. And, at the same time, a little kid or someone does a move where he, does a crazy skill move and it's worthy of an Ole.
Right.
And there could be a really kind of cool timing or play on words where as someone says cafe, then someone says Ole, or, there's just a coming together of this concept.
Right.
And ultimately it resulted in this short film and this collection. I mean, originally we had the idea for like the commercial first, the story. And then it was like, let's get a collection to go with the story. And that's how it all kind of came together.
I didn't realize that. We're not in the film. We're not wearing any Cafe Ole gear, but there is the mugs are Cafe Ole.
Yeah, we're debating trying to work some of the gear in, but I think it worked well with you guys kind of dressing a little more as your characters and not forcing it. And we didn't want it to feel like an ad,
right?
Like I call it a short film, and some people may have corrected me, but I think it's because of the storytelling, because of the production level. I think it is a short film, and because we're not like blatantly throwing out merchandise in there. We're really just telling a story about this Cafe Ole theme, and we just happen to have a capsule collection to go with it.
Right. I particularly like the role of Yasko.
Yasko is a star,
the cafe waiter. You talk about a natural also. Gus, as Yasko is a total natural.
Oh, he's a star.
I get such a kick out of him. He's got a personality that I think that translates in a personal meeting or translates on film. His personality just comes out. He's got like a childish grin, kind of an impish personality. He brings a smile to your face just serving a couple of coffees to us.
Yeah,
I really
he had a small role, but he was a star. And I mean, that's just who he is. So he was at pickup today, and I love Habibi, love Yasko.
Yeah, and he brings such a positive energy, right?
Such joy, such positive
everything
energy.
He does. He kind of brightened up the set.
Yeah,
I'm glad you picked him for that role, and I'm glad he agreed.
That's also something I love about this is it was a family affair. I mean, literally in the first scene, Nancy's sitting behind you. My mom is walking by. The three stars or the three gentlemen outside the cafe are you, my dad, Frederic, Dylan's dad, and Chet, my godfather. The star, Gus, is one of our friends who his family has come to our pop-ups, get along super well with their family. And, he's not just some random kid we never met before, but we know Gus well. And so to have him involved was really cool. And Yasko, obviously, but it was really just a family affair, which made it that much more cool. And which makes it that much more reason why you at home should put that on right now. If you haven't already, put on the Cafe Ole video on YouTube or Instagram, please show it some love. I think this has been Mom may be like hey guys, you need to wrap it up. It's been a bit of a long
I'm
episode.
sure she's
I
saying
was
that.
long-winded with the surgery stuff, but it meant a lot to me and it was emotional. And I think it's important to give context to why this year has been so challenging, why this injury was so weird. My appreciation and gratitude for the doctors, trainers, physical therapists that I've worked with, because this was such a weird industry, this such a weird injury, and they were so patient with me throughout the process. I think it's important to kind of share that story.
No, absolutely.
And also because I don't want this to happen. Honestly, the reason why I want to tell this story is because I don't want anyone else experiencing an injury like this, or just any injury. I don't want anyone to go through the experience that I had to go through. And a lot of that is like, hey, like as an athlete, like you need to advocate for yourself. You need to push your trainer, push your doctors, push your physical therapist to try and get the answers that you feel you need. Also, your body. Most importantly, your body more than anyone else. If you know that something is wrong, especially as a professional athlete who's very your body very well as a professional athlete, and if something is wrong and that, you need to advocate for yourself.
I think that's a very important message, Max. I really do. You have to advocate for yourself, know your body, and be aggressive in terms of finding the right treatment. Don't settle for non-answers or half answers.
Yeah. So, that's why I felt it was important to go into such detail, because I care about the future generation of athletes, and just, don't want someone to have the same experience that I had and deal with an injury as long as I did, if there's a way to get better quicker. And so, yeah, let's wrap it up for today. We got some more episodes coming with guests soon. In the meantime, we'll keep it rocking, just us, because we get it rocking. It's fun.
And we're damn good.
Damn good. But yeah, good to have you home, Dad.
Good to be home.
Yeah, hopefully, the premiere would have already happened, but hopefully the premiere went well. And this is a celebration this week.
Yeah, I think we're coinciding with your birthday, the premiere.
Oh, yeah. Well, the next week I'm having a book release, Class of 22 film book release party and birthday party on the same day, same occasion.
Am I invited?
Obviously. So yeah, if you're listening to this, 24th, location to be determined, but probably like 7 to 10 vibe. Should be a good time.
Cool.
See you there.
Okay. Marathon minute.
Marathon minute.
Let's go.
Let's go.
We're out.